Well, alright, what is up, my most amazing Media Man fans? This is the Media Man, bringing you some E3 thoughts. Microsoft just had their conference only a few hours back, and I have some thoughts on the games and on the console itself. As I've been kind of looking at just a few hours after, I looked around the web and there were various thoughts on how Microsoft did. Some people loved it, some people hated it. I think a lot of it depends on, if you're a big time Microsoft fan, if you like Forza, things like that. But I'm going to talk about each game, give you my thoughts about the whole, how they handled the conference, and of course the Xbox One X. I'm not going to talk about too much about the specs. You already kind of know it's going to be a beast. If you want, I'll definitely leave a link down below. Let me know if you do need the specs, but they're all over the place, so I'm not going to talk too much. We all know it's going to be a beast. So first, let's get onto the games. I want to talk about Forza first, because that is the first game they announced. And it was actually kind of a cool announcement because I'm a huge Porsche fan, and they did show the 2018 Porsche 911. And it was a beautiful car, absolutely gorgeous, and they even teased that you could drive it. Of course, they meant in-game, because they had a physical one there, and I'm thinking, wow, that'd be cool if you were at E3, you could just jump in. But they showed some gameplay of Forza, and it just looked absolutely stunning. The rain effects, the 4K, I did watch it on a 4K TV, so I could kind of experience that 4K-ness of the of the presentation of the games of the Xbox One X. They did show a lot of the stuff was running on the X. So it was a pretty cool conference. I mean, I'm somewhere in between of the naysayers and the haters. I definitely didn't hate it, but I had some disappointments. So we'll kind of get into that. But but with Forza was gorgeous. It wasn't one of my disappointments. I knew they were going to announce a Forza. They have been showing some Forza footage when they talked about it before, and so that wasn't any kind of a surprise. But it does look really good. But and it may be for you, but it's not really a system seller for me. But I definitely, hopefully, I'll be able to pick up an Xbox One X, which is the new name for the Scorpio. If you haven't heard, when it comes out. And I'll give you release dates in just a minute. Now, you know what? I'll give you them right now, just in case that's what you want. They did announce, again, it is the Xbox One X. That's the official name. It's going to be $500. That's right, $500. I have some mixed feelings with that. It is a beast of a console. Like I said, I'm not going to get into the specs, but 12 gigs of RAM, and the thing's a beast. I understand the specs when they told me. I just can't remember all the, to recite them all to you. But definitely, if you want to know, I'll leave them in the description. But it is definitely a beast. That's all you need to know. It runs everything in 4K without even sweating. They showed 4K gameplay. The TV that they had, that they were promoting the games with, the big screen in back was 4K, so everything looked great and crisp. And it does kind of, it does make me excited for the console in a sense. I have mixed feelings, and we'll kind of get on with that as I talk about the games. But it is the smallest Xbox they've ever made, the smallest system Xbox is the only system they've made, but smallest system they've ever made, console they've ever made. It is a slick looking thing. I do like the way it looks. It looks a lot like an S, except thinner, and it looks like the bottom is smaller than the top. Other than that, it looks a lot like an S, but much, of course, more powerful. So somehow they got all that power into a smaller package, so that was pretty cool. But other than that, and I did say November 7th, I believe, so November 7th is when you can actually pick one up. They don't have any pre-order details yet. I'm sure they'll announce it. I'm sure you could, you check your GameStop and see, when it's available if you are interested in it. But again, $500, which I've paid $500 for a console before, but I'm struggling a little bit with this one, and I'll tell you as I go on to the games, because it has a lot to do with that. So, but like I said, Forza looked great. First game they put out. The next game they showed was what I thought was Singularity. I don't know if you guys remember that game, but it was a really cool game where you could manipulate time and you fought these aliens and all this other stuff, and it was a really cool, underrated game. Mainly because of the glove that the character had on. It's a first-person shooter, this next game they showed, and it actually wound up being Metro. Cool looking game. I like the Metro series a lot. Very dark, very, just the gameplay is fun, especially the second one was faster than the first one. The first one was more atmospheric. So they had a long demo of that, and it looked really cool. They did a good job kind of promoting that particular game. And at first when they started, it seemed like it was longer than they said. I'm only going to talk for 90 seconds, and it was all gameplay. Wasn't quite that, but they did. It was mostly gameplay. I would say like 80% gameplay. So they did pretty much stick to it. There was just more talking than they said at first, especially when someone would come out and they want to promote their game and talk about how awesome their game is, which makes sense to a certain extent, but it definitely wasn't 90 seconds, just to get that out of the way. But the Metro game looked fantastic. Forza looked great. The next person to come out was Player Unknown, because prior to that, I'm sorry, it was Phil Spencer, and I love Phil Spencer. I think he comes off as just a genuine great guy. I always like watching him speak and all that stuff. But the next one to come out was Player Unknown. Apparently there's the game, and I apologize, I haven't played this. I will try to play it so I can let you know my thoughts on it. But this huge, if you haven't seen it, millions of people are playing it, but this huge open world online multiplayer, looks like a third-person shooter style game. Looked really good, but I don't know. You can play it on PC right now, and if you have a PC that's even as good as mine, you can play it in really good settings and all that. So yeah, that wasn't a big thrill for me, but it did look good. They did present it really well, and if you're a console guy, it's a cool game it looks like it's a cool game to kind of add to your collection. So there was that. There was another game called Deep Rock, and I wrote it down, and I don't remember a whole lot about it. It must have been really impressive, because I just can't remember. I know that's terrible, and I apologize for that. Then they showed this zombie game. Now, I'm going to say something controversial. Some people are going to hate me for this, but I'm not a big zombie game fan. I'm kind of sick of zombies. Walking Dead is a great series. Left 4 Dead is a great game, but I don't get excited when I see zombie games. But this one did actually look pretty good. It looked like you're driving around or running around, and you can get in cars, and you could rescue people if you want and try to build a team and take on the zombies that way. And it did look pretty good. I'm not going to lie. So it piqued my interest to a certain extent. And I kind of guessed what it was, but I've never. It was State of Decay 2, and I've never played State of Decay. I have a lot of indie games, a lot of things I need to get to, so there's certain games that I know are really popular and supposed to be really good that I just don't get around to. I'll definitely try to get around to it, but we can't get around to everything, right? We got to kind of pick our poison, as they say. But it did look pretty good, especially for a again, a zombie game, because I've seen them so much. Like every time I turn around, there's a zombie game, and I deal with a lot of indie developers and a lot of indie stuff, and there's zombie games all over and indie development stuff. So I'd rather fight vampires. I think vampires are way cooler, but that's just my 2 cents. What do I know? But yeah, I mean, I do recommend you look at the videos because, like I said, it did look pretty cool. And if you are a fan of that style of game, definitely look into it. And this is something I would be interested in playing with my buddies online. But again, it didn't. I don't know. There's a certain games when you see D3, you just get like super excited, like you're a kid again. And I didn't see that. The one game that did surprise me, sort of. I mean, it didn't really surprise me because I knew they were going to announce this. But the way it looked and what they did with it, I thought was really cool, and that was Minecraft. So let's talk a little bit about Minecraft. Hold on, if you don't like Minecraft, I'll try to keep this brief. If you do, I'll try to be thorough. But they're going to do a Minecraft update to 4K, and it's a free update, which is cool, and it looked really, really good. And they have this new patch, and I'm not sure if you have to pay for this other thing or not, or if that's part of the 4K upgrade, but they have, I forgot what they call it exactly, but it's like Super Uber mode or something like that, graphic package. So you can buy this, graphical mod package, whatever you want to call it, and it makes the game look phenomenal. And I'm not kidding, it looks really, really good. I remember me and a buddy talking about how good can this game look, because it's it's Minecraft, it's blocks, so but yeah, I mean, it looked really good. I was super impressed. The characters still look like the characters, but the graphics were really, really, really good. And I can't believe I'm saying that about a Minecraft game, because Minecraft has never been about the graphics to me. It's always been about something else, about just the gameplay and building, and it is actually, if you think about it, it's pretty impressive with what it lets you do. But when I saw these graphics, it was like a whole different world. It almost looked like what Minecraft 2 would look like. So very impressed with that. Now the other thing that they talked about with Minecraft was, and I thought this was really cool, is they're working on these servers that you can play. If you have an Xbox One, you can play with Switch people, and Switch people can play with PlayStation or PC, where it's all one big server where you can all play together, which I think could be pretty cool. I mean, I could see some crashing happening and some other stuff, but I like the idea of it. Especially if you're a one console person for whatever reason, whether you just only like one console or that's kind of what you have in your budget, it's cool that you can play with your buddy who maybe has a Switch and you have an Xbox One, and maybe your other buddy has a PS4. I think that's a great thing, and I think more games should do that. Multi-platform online kind of stuff. So that looked really cool. It surprised me. There was another game that actually kind of surprised me, but looked really odd, but in a cool way. If that makes any sense. You'll hear me say that a lot when I do my indie reviews, but Artful Escape was gorgeous. I kind of had a cartoon-looking guy, but with just an amazing background. So that kind of took me by surprise. I don't know too much about it. They showed a little bit. It looked like a platformer kind of thing. But definitely one to look into. Check out the trailer. I'll try to have some of these trailers linked, but it may be another day or so. As soon as I can get a hold of them, I'll link them to my down on my description. But really cool looking game. And then they came out with another one right after called Code Vein, which looked really cool as well. It was really quick, so I don't know a whole lot about it, but it did look great. Definitely interested in checking more of that out. And then, of course, they showed Sea of Thieves. Now, this isn't a surprise, and it was a very long presentation. Very long. But it looked really cool. I mean, what they did, I just watched it the whole time because it was almost, I would say movie quality, but just the way they did it, the way they, there were so many things happening and going on with this, that I thought they did a fantastic job of keeping you engaged with the video. I mean, they show some people stealing stealing some treasure and then getting shot, and then someone else went and picked up the treasure, and swimming, and getting the boat ready to sail, and just all kinds of stuff. I was almost worried it might be maybe a little bit dull at times, but it looks like it's just constant and fun, and a lot of co-op stuff happening. 4 people working together, and just a great looking game, like fun. It's a rare game, so it kind of has that rare fun factor kind of look to it, if that makes it. Remember if you ever played Banjo-Kazooie or Conker's Bad Fur Day. Now this isn't a straight up platformer or anything, but this is something different. But just that kind of same, I just want to have fun kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like I get to be a pirate and loot and steal some treasure and build up my ship and hire people to be on my ship, and just a lot of stuff going on that was really impressive. So I was definitely impressed with Sea of Thieves. Definitely check that out. Hopefully next year I won't be sick. I won't have to miss E3, but it was cool to see it, and I can't wait to get my hands on it and check it out. I'll definitely know you as soon as I do, and yeah. And if you guys ever want to play some multiplayer stuff with the Media Man, just let me know. I am happy to PM me, and I'll PM you back, and maybe we'll do some multiplayer stuff. But putting that aside, it looked great. I'm not normally a multiplayer person. I like single player or co-op games, but this looked very co-op and multiplayer as well. Playing against a lot of other people just looked like a blast. So I am excited about that. Now the the other game you guys will probably laugh about, because there were so many. They did actually show a lot of cool games, and I'll have my synopsis of the whole thing after. But they showed this game that I thought was going to be Conkers. It looked like a little fox or squirrel or something like that, and it looked interesting. It looked fun. I like platformers, so I'm going to put that out there. It was very colorful. The character looked pretty simple, but some of the effects looked pretty cool when he was platforming and running around and stuff like that. But the game was called, I believe I got this right, Super Lucky's. I know that's right, and I believe the last part was Adventure. Super Lucky's Adventure. And I know, it's out of all the stuff they came out with, that's the one that hey, that looks kind of cool, because it was a little unexpected, and I'm glad that they're trying to cover the platformer genre. I mean, even though, to be honest, I did look at it a little longer and just kind of go, it does look like they're just trying to get a platformer out to say, hey, we have a platformer. I don't necessarily see this as being one of their mascots or something, which is what Microsoft has kind of lacked in a sense, is a true mascot. I mean, you could say Master Chief, I suppose, but if you look at Sony or Nintendo, they have a ton of different characters that you could say are probably their mascots, and that's for another time. I want to talk about Microsoft, of course, but I was impressed. Up to that point, I think they did do a good job. But again, I'll give you my full thoughts, because there were some disappointments. But one of the other games they showed that I knew they were going to show, and I hope they would show, because if there's one game that's going to get me to buy the Xbox One X that's been announced at this point, it's Crackdown 3. I love the first one, didn't like the second one that much. I thought they dropped the ball in the second one, but I thought they did a really good job with the first one. It was so much fun running around and becoming these super buffed cops. If you've never played it, it's an open world game. Think of it kind of like Grand Theft Auto, except you're a cop, and your cars change the way they look when you get these orbs that are lying around. And your driving gets better, your cars start to change and look really cool, as well as you. When you start jumping a lot, you get you jump higher and you start being able to leap buildings and things like that. You build up your strength by fighting, not shooting but fighting, and you can start picking up cars and throwing trucks and just getting super powered, like these like superhuman cops, and it was a blast. If you've played it before, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, check out some videos. I don't know if it's backwards compatible or not, if you could play it on the Xbox One. If you have an Xbox 360 still, try and get a copy. It's like $3. I mean, last time I checked, it's not very much. If it's backwards compatible, they usually jack those up to $20, but still, I would pay $20 for it. It's a great action game, open world game. Like I said, definitely recommend checking it out. But Crackdown 3 looked amazing. At first it was live action, which I don't like much, but then they actually got into some gameplay, and when they got into gameplay, it was great. Oops. So yeah, you saw that. I died. That's okay. I'll go back and get my body. But yeah, so that was one of the games that I definitely was happy with. Now, one of the things that kind of I was kind of teetering on if I really liked the conference or was just like, it was okay, kind of meh, you know. One of the things that really helped was when they did their indie kind of reel, you know, that hot reel, that whatever the Sony calls it, but Microsoft did this with their indie stuff. And there's a lot of really cool indie games coming out. I'm gonna have to get a hold of some developers and, you know, see what I can do about getting some of these early so I can give you some reviews. But some really cool looking games coming out. Oh, and Cuphead has been announced. They have an official date. It's September 29th. So that's cool. That game looks really great, especially if you like platformers and old cartoons, or even if you don't, you just have to appreciate the art style. So that's got a September 29th release date, and yeah, so definitely check that one out. But the ID at Xbox thing is really cool. I really liked what they did with it. It looks like there's some action RPGs, some hack and slashes that you can maybe play with some friends. There was a game on the 360, I can't remember what it was called. I'll remember later, of course, but that just looked really, really, really cool. I mean, I liked the way it looked, but it played really well. Like me and my wife just wrecked people. You know, we got the new armor, and we got the new swords, and we did all that stuff, and it was a great co-op game. You know, there's 3 different characters. So there were some games that looked kind of like that, so I was pretty jazzed about that, and some other interesting indie stuff. I suggest looking at the reel. I didn't catch everything because it was so fast. It was just, okay, we're going to, here's Xbox.ID, blah, 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 and it just showed like 30 games. I tried to start writing them down. I'm like, you know what, forget it. Forget it. But one of the games I did see that did kind of get me really excited was Path of Exile. If you haven't played it, you can download it free on PC. If you have a decent PC, you should be able to run it. So yeah, I mean, I would check that out. But that's going to come out on Xbox One, and I believe you can do 2 players on that at least. That would be great. But a great game. You know, as you can tell, I love hack and slash games. But yeah, so that was cool. They also had a really extended Shadow of War trailer. It was actually pretty funny. They had this really cool battle between this huge orc and a troll or something like that, and it was the writing looked like it was really good, and of course you had the more serious stuff, and you can create armies and all this stuff. Just check out the trailer. It looks great, and I loved Shadow of Mordor. This is called Shadow of War, which is, you know, it's the same character and all that stuff, but you actually build armies to go fight, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, really impressed with that. Now the other thing that I want to talk about real quick before I get into what I really thought, like my, you know, final thoughts on their conference, is the backwards compatibility thing. That's huge to me. You know, I'm playing Blue Dragon again and Lost Odyssey and just a ton of really cool games. Want to get Call of Duty 2 again. Not Modern Warfare 2, that was a good one, but Call of Duty 2, when it was the old school. but a ton of really cool backwards compatible games. They announced today that they're going to have Xbox, like the original Xbox games, with the backwards compatibility program. And one of the cool things is that they announced Crimson Skies. If you haven't played Crimson Skies, you need to play Crimson Skies. The game is a blast. It's so much fun. I don't normally like flight games because I'm not good at them. Excuse me. Let me get a drink real quick. But this one was just a blast. I used to play with my friends and try to get them to chase me and do a, and go up real quick so they run into a rock or a cave, or and you can jump out and get into the turrets and I mean, it was just a lot of fun. If you haven't played it, look it up, check it out, and then when it comes down to the backwards and compatible stuff, definitely pick it up. It looks phenomenal. So that's the only game they announced. But I'm just thinking about all the cool games they could announce. Oddworld, Stranger's Wrath, which was a phenomenal game. Loved it. If they put it back on the Xbox, and they are going to enhance them. They said they will run in 4K and all that stuff. They're not going to look as good as an Xbox One game, of course, or a 360 game. It was based on old hardware, and they're not going to redo all those games. That would just be a lot of work. But would love to bring them to bring Blinks back or some of the other stuff. There's another platformer you guys may not have heard of, or you may have. It was supposed to be a big deal, and it didn't do that well. But there was some fun to be had with it. But there were a lot of great games on the Xbox that I'm excited to play. In fact, let me know in the comments of some of your favorite Xbox games that maybe nobody's ever heard of. We all know Halo. I mean, I hope Halo's not one of them, to be honest, because I've got Halo 3 times. I mean, I had the remastered version for 360, and then I got the Xbox Ultimate, Halo Collection, where it's got Halo 1 and Halo 2, and and if you don't care. So, so I don't care if they announce Halo, but there are some other games I would love to be able to replay that were on the Xbox. So kudos for them that they care that much about it, and it really makes me feel like they're listening to the fans. I think they did a good job with that. So that was a surprise. I wasn't expecting that. So let's just talk about, in general, what I thought of the E3, the Microsoft E3 conference, and then we'll talk about the other two conferences that happened. I thought it was pretty good. I do think, and I need to make sure this is clear, I am not in any way, shape, or form a Sony fanboy, okay? I'm a gamer, and I review games. It's what I do. I've got a website. You guys know all that follow me. So I'm big into, I want good games, and I think that Sony's going to come out swinging tomorrow. So I think they did a good job. But I think that they left the door open for Sony to come in and just kind of wow us. Because it was, as a whole, it didn't wow me. There were some moments where I went, oh, that's pretty cool. But there was never a moment when I went, oh, that's so, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing, except for the indie stuff and the Xbox game, backwards compatibility reveal. Nothing that I didn't already know about surprised me too much. They did show, and I forgot to mention, they did show Ori again, and it looks phenomenal in 4K, just gorgeous. And they had this guy playing the piano. It was just a beautiful thing that they did. I mean, it was just, the guy was playing, I got choked up watching. It was a beautiful, you need to watch that. It's near the end, but the Xbox conference is definitely worth watching. If you haven't seen it, they'll have reruns on IGN and some other places. But definitely check it out. I thought it was cool. I did like it, but I left a little disappointed because, there wasn't any Gears of War or Halo-esque big AAA thing that I could point to and say they came out swinging. Watch out, Sony. But again, the Xbox One X does look amazing. It does look amazing, but one of my biggest struggles is, do I want to buy an Xbox One X when I'm still not completely blown away by the games on the Xbox One? Will I get one? Probably. That's that's just how I am. I'm a hardware guy. I know I mentioned I'm a game guy because that is what's more important to me, but I also like new hardware. So if I mentioned I didn't before, that's not quite what I meant. But when it comes, because when it comes to the console launches, I care more. Like if it's, hey, if the PS4 Pro came out at the same time as the Xbox One X, and I didn't have either console, or I wanted to upgrade one of them, I would go with the console, not that had more power, but the console that had the games that I really want to play, and that's how it always should be. But saying that, the X definitely impressed me. Some of the specs were ridiculous, and some of the stuff they were talking about, even the way they were going to cool it, was really, really cool. So I definitely recommend looking that up, or look at some of the videos. There's some videos that are separate that'll show you what this Xbox One S is made of. So it is going to be a phenomenal machine. I have no doubt it's going to be a great machine, and I think that Microsoft did good. I think they did good. If I were to grade them, I would probably give them a B. They're a little above average. They were better than last year, but I think that my guess is that Sony's going to come out swinging. I think Nintendo's going to have some pretty cool stuff, but Nintendo tends to come out and say we have these 2 or 3 things, so we'll see. But now I'm guessing. Now I'm talking about something that hasn't happened yet. I'll definitely let you know when, once I actually see the conferences. So tomorrow is a Sony conference at 6 o'clock. I meant to put it my other MediaRAnt. I apologize for that. But if you guys are interested, you'll find out anyway. You'll look it up. But Sony's is 6 o'clock. So due to my lovely internet, I'll have it posted by the morning. So I'll try to get all that done for you so you can get kind of my thoughts on it. And let's open up a discussion. I want to know what you guys think. But yeah, so that's it. Microsoft did good. It was a good conference, not a phenomenal conference, in my opinion. And the Xbox One X did help. They were really good with building the hype, and they did show a lot of games, which I thought was cool. Just not a whole lot of games that got me too super excited. And I'm still kind of bitter about Scalebound. So I was hoping for something like that. Or, hey, Scalebound isn't dead. Guess what? In fact, I think it would be cool if Sony announced Scalebound. I'm just saying. So, yeah, that's pretty much it as far as Microsoft goes. So good job, Microsoft. You got a B. You got above average. And Phil Spencer, you're awesome. So yeah, and it was pretty much entertaining, except I was really tired, but it had nothing to do with the conference. But it was pretty entertaining, and there were a few moments where they did surprise me. So, and developers of Deep Rock, I really apologize. I was super tired. I'll try to do a little bit more on that later. If I can get some assets and things, I'll let you guys know about it. So yeah, a little bit about EA before I talk about Bethesda. EA's conference was pretty cool. It was EA. The one thing that I did take away from it, and again, I didn't watch the whole thing. I want to be very clear on that. But was the Star Wars Battlefront stuff. I actually enjoyed the first one on the PS4. It came with my PS4. So, and once you download it, it's yours for your entire life. So, I thought I had some fun with it being Luke Skywalker walking around taking people out, but it did get, after a while, to get a bit boring. This looks phenomenal. They brought back Yoda. They showed Yoda walking around. They didn't say a whole lot that I saw about the campaign. I'm going to have to go back and watch it, so that maybe if I do watch it before tomorrow night, I'll let you know if I'm wrong about something. It happens. But I don't remember them mentioning anything about single player, because I did watch the clip. But I do believe there is going to be a campaign, and I hope it's like the old what do they call them? I want to say Galaxy Quest or whatever. That's a movie. But when you would go to the different parts of the galaxy and try to conquer each one, and it was in Battlefront 2, I believe. So yeah, I think they did a pretty good job. Like I said, I didn't really watch the whole thing. They did have that the one Xbox One. It's supposed to be One X exclusive game. I don't think it's exclusive, but it looked really good by BioWare, where it looked like it could be co-op or something. I mean, it was kind of the trailer was really cool, but I wasn't clear on, exactly what was going on. But it looked like you could play with up to 4 players, and it started off in first person. Then you got into these really cool mechs, and it was called Anthem. I almost forgot. Shoo! So look it up. It looks really amazing. I don't think it's just an Xbox game. I believe they showed it on the Xbox One as well as EA, but I watched the trailer a couple times because it looks really good, and I am excited about that one. And it's going to run really well on the Xbox One X. So that's definitely it's definitely accurate to say that. So EA did pretty good. The guy who did the trailers that I saw, when they just kind of showed clips of this guy talking, he was pretty funny. So it's definitely an entertaining one to go see, to watch. So if you're going to watch him back, that might be one to watch back, just to kind of get a couple of chuckles. He seemed like he was really good, because sometimes you get those people that get up there and they're hosting and they just I don't know how else to put it. They're terrible. They're boring. They're dull. They're making an exciting game boring. You want to go to sleep, or they it's not very. This guy was very confident. He knew what he was doing, and so EA's conference was pretty good. You had your sports titles, which don't really do much for me. I mean, nothing against Madden. I do play Madden every once in a while, but I'm a guy that I don't mind waiting for Madden 17 to be $20. I don't need to get the newest and the greatest. That's just the way I play. So, but it did look good. Everything they showed looked good. They even showed NBA Live. Obviously I'm not excited about an NBA Live game because they tend to get just destroyed by NBA 2K. I do love the NBA 2K series. So yeah, but like I said, otherwise, a typical EA, but the Battlefront really saved them, and the guy they got to do most of the conference was really funny. So they did a good job that way. Again, what I saw of it, I will go back and watch the whole thing and give you any more thoughts on it, maybe tomorrow if I get the chance, because I will be watching the PC at 10 a.m. They are going to have a PC one. If you're a PC guy like me, that should be pretty cool. And then a bunch of them in between, and of course the big one is Sony at 6. So I'll give you as much info as I can. And check out my Twitter at MediaMan815. Become a follower, and you'll get all the, if you're at work or whatever, you'll get all the updates. I have a few weeks off due to some surgery, so I'll be watching tomorrow, letting you guys know what's going on. But EA, cool, like I said. Bethesda, let's talk about Bethesda a little bit. I'm a big Bethesda fan. I like them, as a company. I love how they support mods. They did a whole section on mods and stuff, and they really kind of had a hokey but fun presentation. It was called Bethesda Land, and they made this kind of cartoony, silly thing. You didn't have somebody come up there talking the whole time. You basically had that whole Bethesda Land. The guy came up at first, and there's Bethesda Land, almost the whole thing, and then the guy came up and showed one more game. So it was okay. I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty disappointed. I'm a big Elder Scrolls fan, and obviously I didn't think they were going to announce Elder Scrolls 6. Everybody was saying it's not going to happen. They, I think, announced that no, that's rumor. That's not going to happen. I wanted to see some sort of Elder Scrolls. Then there was rumor that they were going to announce some kind of space, online, kind of like a Skyrim or Fallout 4 in space kind of thing. And that didn't really happen. So, I was disappointed. I'm not gonna lie about being disappointed. One of the surprises, though, was another Dishonored game. They just had one this year, and they have another one. And I'm going by memory, so I apologize if I missed something. and I don't remember what it was called. I know. Dishonored 3. There you go. But there's another Dishonored game. It looks really good. I do love the series. Actually was playing Dishonored a lot before Thief came out, which a lot of people didn't like, which I actually really like that one too. But you'll notice a lot about me that I just love games. So there were ones that people pan that I go, actually, it's pretty good, you know. But if I slam on a game, it's definitely stay away. But anyway, when I was waiting for it, I played a lot of Dishonored, and Dishonored wound up being the better game. You know, and of course they came out with Dishonored 2, where you can play as the daughter of the father, and then it looks like these are completely different characters. So, you know, check out the trailer. It looks really good. I am pretty jazzed about it. One of the things I did, of course, they did show Skyrim for the Switch, but they didn't give a release date, which was super frustrating, because I know, you know, I've been in debates with people about this before. I know that Skyrim on the Switch is not going to look near as good as the Pro, or, you know, especially if, you know, or you get the special edition for the Xbox One and get an Xbox One X. I'm sure that'll be enhanced, and I'm hoping with the Xbox One X power we'll get even better mods. But apparently they said 300 million mods and all this ridiculous stuff, and I love how Bethesda supports the mod community, because I play a lot of Elder Scrolls and Fallout 4 on my PC, so I can make my characters look good, make the surroundings look good. I did extra blood mods sometime. You know, I'd mess around with it, and I'd play the vanilla one too. That's why I like having a console version as well as a PC version, but my PC version is just modded to death, especially once I beat it. And I've technically beaten Skyrim. Those who played it, you know what I'm talking about, especially if you beat the last boss. You can't see me doing the quote-unquote, but if you've beat the last boss, you know that it doesn't really end. But anyway, it looked really good on the Switch. You guys know how I feel about the Switch, but I'm not going to get into that because we're talking about Bethesda. But so I was pretty jazzed when they showed that. They talked a lot about mods. You know, but they didn't really excuse me. They didn't really surprise me. They didn't really do anything that that I wasn't expecting. Oh, they did show this one really long trailer that, if you ever watch trailers, that they kind of change things up a little bit, so you're like, that game looks familiar, but it's not like I remember it. It just doesn't look like it would be in that series. So I was watching this game trailer. It was kind of creepy. It was kind of interesting. The character looked like a bad butt, kind of like Chris from Resident Evil, just kind of like this tough cop kind of guy. But it's kind of a weird trailer too, and I'm watching it. It was interesting. It just definitely kept my interest in it, and I'll probably pick it up at some point. But it was The Evil Within 2. They showed The Evil Within 2. That was one of the big games. And I don't know. I mean, it's cool, but this is E3. This is when the big announcements happen, and this is one of their big announcements. I guess it depends on how you feel about the game. Like, I played the other one. As you guys know, I have a Let's Play of, I think, the first level or so. Didn't get too much more into it as far as the Let's Plays go. But I think it's gonna be an interesting game. But my expectations were so high, and it's not really Bethesda's fault. I think it was just kind of all the rumors, and hey, we're gonna do, you know, they didn't say this, but hey, they're gonna do a space kind of a RPG in their style of the Skyrim and Fallout 4 and that kind of engine and all this other, and I just pictured myself exploring these worlds, and you know, and then you get Evil Within 2, so kind of disappointing. Not a whole lot else to really say about it. Well, the other thing was an Elder Scrolls card game, kind of like Hearthstone or something. Now, I think Hearthstone is a very good game, but I don't like card games. I've said this before. There were a couple of GameCube games that actually came out where the battle system was, you used cards, and they were pretty good. They were kind of fun, but I'm not big on the card games, and I'm tired of everything becoming mobile. I'm, I'm just being straight with you guys. It's cool if you disagree, but you know, the Elder Scroll world is such a huge, rich world. A lot like Hearthstone, a lot like the Dungeons and Dragons stuff. But to see it like in this card game that you can get on your phone, and it's called Elder Scrolls Legends, I believe. It's kind of disappointing. I wasn't, that's not the Elder Scroll game I was hoping for. I will try to give it, a shot and let you guys know what I think of it, and maybe even do a review of it. But I just, meh, and that's kind of how I felt mostly with the whole presentation. I mean, they had, they said they were finished, and I was like, oh, okay. It felt like they just kind of began. They didn't show a whole lot. Like I said, talked a lot about mods, about Fallout 4, about Elder Scrolls Legends. They actually talked about Morrowind a little bit, kind of how well it was doing, and some other stuff like that, which was cool. That's fine. I really love Morrowind. I've mentioned that. I think they did a phenomenal job with Morrowind Online. I'll do some more Let's Plays, not of the entire game, because that's just going to take forever. Unless I stream, I may start streaming. In July. I haven't decided yet, but let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in, because I do have a Twitch account, and I could stream on YouTube. If I do, then that might be the game I play. But anyway, phenomenal game, really, really good. But so I was kind of disappointed. They said we have one last game, and I was going, please, 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 please. You know what I'm thinking. If you're a big Bethesda fan like I am, you know where my brain is going. And they had this mech dog. That's all I can think of calling it. It's this huge thing, but it acted kind of like a dog, and you could ride it, and it was this first-person shooter, and wound up being Wolfenstein 2, which I like Wolfenstein a lot. I thought the first one was great. I didn't play the expansion. Just never got around to it, but I thought the first game was great. Not the first one ever made. That one was fun too, but the first one for the next gen consoles. Played it on PC, just played great, looked great. It was fun. It had that crazy factor with great graphics and actually a very interesting story, considering how ridiculous it was. But oh, he's a chicken gun. I'm trying to get this guy to come out, and I wonder if they're going to hurt him for me. But so yeah, so they came out with that, and they showed a lot of gameplay for it, and I did like it. I mean, like I said, I do think that they did a really good job with presenting it, and they showed a lot of the story and kind of built it up, and so I think that they were entertaining, but I don't know. I mean, it was a lot of sequels, another shooter, and I think we're going to see a lot of shooters. I do like first-person shooters. I want to make that very clear, but as someone who plays nowadays hundreds, maybe close to thousands by year end games, including indie games, you want something a little different. You want think about the Elder Scrolls games and Fallout 4s. I can always keep coming back to those. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Did you see any of them? Did you see one maybe I didn't see? Oh, I do want to mention, and I forgot to mention this, they did show the new Assassin's Creed, which I had forgotten to write down for some reason. I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan. It's called Assassin's Creed Origin. It looks phenomenal. They're in Egypt, and I really am looking forward to that one. But other than that, it was a pretty good day. I'm hoping tomorrow's even better. Not because to me, it's not about one console winning or not. I will grade each one just so you know my thoughts and we can have a conversation. But if Sony comes out and they kind of go blah, I'll give them a C, or I'll give them maybe a B if they're as good as Microsoft. But you know, we'll see. I'm hoping for a great rest of the E3 and some surprises. So, and I'm expecting some surprises from Sony, because there have been rumor, one I think by Reiner of Game Informer, who's, you know, I've been following, not in a creepy way, Reiner for a long time, when they used to have the PS1 game walkthroughs and stuff like that, and he's been doing it for a long time, and he had said that it's one of the best E3s he's ever seen. As far as Sony's conference, one of the best conferences is going to be so many surprises. So we'll see. It does look, I am pretty jazzed about it, but Microsoft did do a good job, so props to Microsoft. The Xbox One X is definitely a great system, and there are going to be some great games coming out for it, so it's just a matter of if you want to spend $500 on it, or you want to buy a Titan X or something. Can you buy a Titan X for $500? I don't know. But yeah, so thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. I will have another Media Rant tomorrow. This will probably be posted tomorrow, but I'll do another one tomorrow with my thoughts on Sony and any of the other stuff I'm able to catch, and of course the PC. I'll have everything kind of ready for you guys, and I love y'all. Just hit 4,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. It means a ton to me. It means a lot. Try and do something special once I hit 5,000. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. And I'm working with some people, hopefully, to do some sort of giveaway or something. But anyway, thank you guys. Love y'all. Peace out. Please hit that like button. I appreciate it. And subscribe and leave a comment. I love talking about E3. I love talking about games. And you guys are my favorites. So take care. Bye.
We'll be right back.